The sons of God, the daughters of men, the Nephilim? What is going on in Genesis chapter 3? Well, hello and welcome to the Rooted Together podcast, a podcast which aims to root you in Christ and through His Word together. I'm your host, Charles, and today we are in Genesis chapter 3, chapter 6 rather, which is sort of one of those chapters that a lot of people talk about for a lot of different reasons, like who are the Nephilim? Who are the sons of God and the daughters of men? And, well, the really short answer for you is we don't know. And I'm not going to pretend to know either. I think that's one of the mistakes a lot of people make, is that they try to pretend to know something that they just don't know. We don't know who is that supposed to be. Who are the Nephilim? Who are these sons of gods? Who are these daughters of men? Are they angels? Are they the line of Seth? We really don't know. But apparently they're mighty men. So when you get to verse 4, you have the Nephilim were on the earth, both in these days and afterwards, which is an interesting note. When the sons of God came to the daughters of mankind who bore them children, they were powerful men of old, the famous men. I mean, what is going on? Not 100% sure. No commentator really is. A lot of experts look at that and say, I don't know. They might have theories, but that's all we got. But my question for you as an avid Bible reader who is reading this to know the Father and to spend time with the Father, and for ancient Israel who was on the edge of the promised land, and Moses is giving this to them, and it wasn't chapter 6, but he's telling this unfolding story to his people. Was Moses trying to tell them about angels and men and mighty men and giants? I don't know, and I don't think that's Moses' intention. No, they might have understood that more than we do today, but I think as we read it today, just as when they heard it then, that wasn't the main point. So many times we get hung up on these oddities, like, what is this? And that the problem with getting hung up on those oddities is that by doing so, we miss the greater point. We miss the true meaning of the text. And so my encouragement is, yes, it's odd. It's okay to research and look into these things, but don't get so tied up in them that you miss time with the Father, that you miss the message of the text. And we'll look at that in just a minute. But one other oddity is verse 6, which says, the Lord regretted that he had made man on earth, and he was deeply grieved. Well, one, why was he grieved? Because they were doing evil all the time. They were hurting and killing each other. This was not God's design for creation. This is the result of sin. This is the result of the knowledge of good and evil. Not that it's ignorance is bliss, but it's the idea that Adam and Eve knew good, now they know evil, and they continue to do evil, and so does even the line of Seth, even the line Cain and Seth. Both of those lines are doing evil. They're hurting each other. So much so that whoever the sons of God are, even they are doing things that are not right. And it says God regretted making man. Now, I don't think God regretted in hindsight, like he's up in heaven and thinking, man, I really wish I didn't make people. I don't think that's what that means, because you got to keep in mind we're telling a story. It's a narrative. And in a narrative, you're going to need emotion and emotional words to help understand the flow of the narrative. And so God has given human emotion in the narrative so that we can understand the flow of what's going on. That there's grieving going on. God does not desire to see evil, and he does not desire to see his creation hurting each other. God does not take joy in suffering, nor does he stand idly by. He will do something, as we will see in this chapter and the coming chapters. But not all is lost, because God has decided, because of sin, I will respond and I will wipe them out. But, verse 8, Noah, remember him from the last chapter, however, found favor with the Lord. And that word favor is an Old Testament word that often means grace, that he found grace in God's eyes. Perhaps he was listening to God, and God uses Noah because of that. Noah's not perfect, but he finds favor. He finds grace in the eyes of God. And it says this in verse 9, these are the family records of Noah. Noah was a righteous man. So out of all the evil that was going on, at least Noah was listening to God. He was blameless among his contemporaries. It doesn't mean he was perfect, but compared to everybody around him, he was righteous. He was good. And more importantly, here's that phrase, Noah walked with God. Find favor in God's eyes by walking with him. That's what Moses is telling Israel, that we are to find favor in God's eyes as we walk with him. Be righteous in a world of evil. Because, by the way, spoilers, after the flood that we're about to read about, evil continued. It continued through Noah's line. It continued through his son's line. And Israel saw that. They were living that. They experienced that. They were seeing it all around them. They will see it in the promised land. And Moses is telling them, by the way, evil will be there. There will be people doing evil all the time. Walk with God, and he will find favor, and he will redeem you. Just as Noah was saved through the ark, you will be saved through walking with God. And that is something that has remained true even today. And Noah basically gets the command that, hey, Noah, this is what you need to do. Build this boat. Get the animals. I'll send them to you because I'm going to wipe out. I'm going to judge sin. And we see that there are times in biblical history where God judges a nation or he judges a people. Here he judges all the people, and he judges them because of their sin. God has like this limit that when it's hit, he judges. That's also Moses' way of telling Israel, as you enter into the land, walk with God, because if you don't, judgment will find you. God will judge sin. We see in Amos, the prophet Amos, we see that they didn't listen. They were hurting each other, evil all the time. Everything they were doing was evil, worshiping other gods, hurting each other. God judged them through Babylon. You see that lived out in Lamentations, and you see that lived out through all the other prophets in the exile, longing for the one who would lift the curse. Now, the question we have from chapter 5 is Noah the one to lift the curse? Well, we know no. But we do know that he will build an ark and that he will redeem people and sustain the line because he found favor in God's eyes and he walks with God and God walks with him. So whatever you're going through, surrounded by evil, be righteous, walk with God, experience his grace because he longs to walk with you. Thank you for joining me in Rooted Together, and I look forward to joining you in chapter 7 next time. I'll see you there.